When we think about the story of Hope School, we think of the thousands of smaller stories, events, and memories that have shaped Hope into what it is today and where it is going into the future. But before we look ahead, it's helpful to pause and look back even to the foggy beginnings, when Hope School consisted of one Australian teacher trying to help a few kids in Cambodia with their education.
I cannot believe how alive these memories are. I would have to say the very, very beginning, I get goosebumps still thinking about it, just how God, like my story and then Russell's story of how we ended there. It was supernatural.
Joe and Russell Miller came in 2002 from Australia to Cambodia, and their desire was to really see Cambodia mature, and one of those main things needed in this nation was the education system to be rebuilt, and especially exciting for all of us was that we could start Christian education at that time. And pretty soon their dining room table was full of kids every day learning in their home, and that's how Hope School began.
ខ្ញុំបម្រើការងារនៅសាលា Hope តាំងពីឆ្នាំ 2002 ជាមួយម៉ាម៉ាជូ Miller ចាចាប់ពីសិស្ស 3-4 នាក់តិចនៅផ្ទះនៅខាងក្រោមគឺនៅបន្ទប់បាយចាខ្ញុំបានសង្គ្រោះខ្ញុំបានខ្លាចជាកូនរបស់ព្រះអង្គហើយគឺជាពន្លឺសាលានេះគឺជាសាលាពន្លឺសាលាក្តីស្រឡាញ់ព្រោះថាយើងជាគ្រីស្ទៀនគឺយើងឲ្យពន្លឺទៅដល់អ្នកដទៃ
By 2004, Hope School had grown to 64 students and 5 teachers and had moved into the famous Dea Lam Nol.
This is the remains of the original driveway that we had that went down into the underneath the house, which was where the main school was. When it rained really hard, water would flow down off the road and that area would flood. I can see just down here, I can still see the wall that was the school's boundary. The original Hope murals were done, and yeah, they were very, very much loved.
Joe Miller built the foundation of a community that stretches to today and into the future. Her legacy is one of adaptation and perseverance. The school board, mission and vision, and statement of faith were birthed under her leadership. And while it was a short season, God had been faithfully preparing a new leader to help take up the mantle, even if it was unbeknownst to him at the time.
I did apply for director, met Joe in October 2003 and heard nothing from them. So I assumed I was coming over as a teacher. 2 weeks before I arrived was when they actually let me know that I wasn't coming as teacher, I was director. And knowing that Joe was leaving in a couple of days' time and I was going to be on my own. So yeah, when I began, there were 44 students enrolled. The school was located on Street 271 in General Lon Nol's house, Dea Lam Nol. But every year we needed to add a classroom and we had to continually find places for about another 30 kids, which meant I was always looking for properties. And we eventually had 7 properties there, and it was a major part of my life, was just negotiating with landlords, and we had 2 sites down there in Tultumpul. Hope had a heart to serve missionary kids wherever they were. And so when Micah come to me and said, what about Siem Reap? We looked at it, and the learning centre began. The school in Siem Reap was launched. Micah was instrumental in running that. So Siem Reap has impacted hundreds of families in that district and been just really a light. It's just such an exciting thing to be a part of what God was doing in Siem Reap amongst the families there.
By 2010, Hope had grown to over 250 students, and with so many properties and landlords, the stress of having multiple sites took its toll and became an increasing threat to the very existence of the school.
In that time, there was just a real strong sense and a unified sense amongst the board at that moment that Hope was not only here for now but for the longer term, and the other key part of that was to have a permanent home. which began the journey of asking, well, where would that be? And that had a major impact on my time as director. Living in Cambodia has its own challenges when you've come from another place and it's not the home country that you've grown up in. So to consider asking families to move half an hour away from where they were was a big ask, and it was one of those things we needed to communicate slowly and longly and wisely and graciously. Ultimately, we split the campus in two. Over time, families were able to transition when they were ready.
School commenced at Hope North on March 2, 2015, and in the midst of that transition, the baton of leadership was also being handed on. Brent Wilsmore had built a culture of prayer, faith, and reliance on God throughout his tenure, and Hope School saw unprecedented growth and community life spring from his humble leadership. And just as the mango tree he planted has become a beautiful, fruitful one on Hope campus, so the school is continuing to bear fruit from the seeds and tending he gave to Hope.
In the beginning, God created a community for missionary kids called Hope International School.
And God said, you must move and take vision. And God said, let there be a land, a permanent, and it was so.
I came in May, June at the end of the school year 2015. The school was right in the middle of the process of moving from their south campus up into this new facility. And I think part of that first year process was to complete this campus, and then in January of 2016 then to move the primary school up from the south campus as well, and to see it finished, completed, and functioning as a school setting.
Cambodia is one of the least impacted countries by the coronavirus in the world. But on Monday, the Prime Minister Hun Sen banned weddings and mass gatherings of more than 20 people after a rare outbreak over the weekend of community transmission. Private schools and parts of the prisons department where cases have been found have been closed.
None of us knew what that was going to look like. In fact, my wife had gone back home in March of 2020 and she got stuck in Australia. And so we then spent the next 7 months apart until I finally exited then in August. But you know what? God provided for that. To see the faithfulness of God's people that are just supporting through very, very practical ways was such an encouragement. And I think that's a picture of God's faithfulness.
So the Eklund family landed in February of 2021 in Cambodia, and we spent 2 weeks in quarantine downtown at a hotel. During that time, there was little to no COVID spread within Cambodia. And upon leaving the hotel, we were greeted by Helen Blaxland and others from Hope International School. The kids were excited, we were excited to be here. That was a Friday. Sunday evening, I received an email saying that schools had been closed, that there had been COVID starting to spread within the country. And so that began a long journey of online classes where the community was becoming more and more frustrated. Hope went from 300 and something students to 250 students. And families on the Siem Reap campus began to leave. Online learning just wasn't working well. It was maintaining and it was keeping our students going, but our teachers missed personal interaction, our students missed their friends and the community here on campus. So it was a really difficult time all the way around. And so the Lord has provided in so many ways, and it's been great now to move through that, really enjoy the community, to see the Hope distinctives and the things that really set us apart from other schools. So it's been a blessing to be here and to see God really push us through these difficult times, but also to see the light at the end of the tunnel that, and really to receive His blessings of being a part of this community together.
I always think it's a funny verse that here in Cambodia that we're to be a light on the hill because there's not a lot of hills. That this community would continue to be a light as a Christian testimony to what God is doing in and through this place and through the families who are working in this country, that testimony would remain there.
The 15th anniversary of Hope School, it was a good celebration of making through 15 years, but there was also the sorrow of the closure of the South Campus at that time. And it was a difficult change for them and their parents. And now on the 20th anniversary celebration for Hope School, we're also grieving the closure of Hope Siem Reap. But we're also believing that through this, the Lord is going to build his kingdom and strengthen his work in the nation of Cambodia and in the lives of our families here at Hope School for his glory and honor.
The legacy of Hope School is not in the buildings and the structures, but in the people who have been a part and made Hope School what it is. 20 years of hope.
God was faithful yesterday.
He is faithful today.
And he'll surely be faithful tomorrow.